Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the special council meeting today, Thursday, the 3rd of April. Just like to welcome those in the council chambers and the gallery, and also we've got Councillor Sander online. The first item is attendance, so everyone's here. We've got leave of absence and apologies, there's none. Then the next item is prayers. So we don't have a minister, so I'll just, if you could all join with me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. So now the next item is declarations of interest. I don't believe that we have any declarations of interest. So we'll move on to item number 5.1 on page 4. And the officer's recommendation is the council approve the negotiated decision request to amend condition MCU 17, amended hours of operation for material change of use for high impact industry sawmill and environmentally relevant activity, ERA 47B, timber milling and wood chipping more than 10,000 tonne but not more than 20,000 tonne in a year on land at 157 Benin Road, Goodger, Lot 4 on RP 807137, subject to the following conditions. So I'd ask for a mover.
Is this where I make...
Councillor Little.
I would just like to move an amendment to that recommendation, and the amendment being that we remove all public holidays out of the decision notice.
So would someone like to second that? Councillor Deneen. So that so we're just going to get that up on the screen. So we'll put that officer's recommendation as amended.
An amended amendment, isn't it?
Okay, so we've got the amendment on the screen. So I'll ask Councillor Little to put forward her case for the amendment.
Okay, so under normal circumstances, with the zoning of that property, there would not be a sawmill even to be allowed on the property. So it has been in operation for a number of years, and I certainly don't want to affect anybody's livelihood, but we do need to take into account the objections that have been raised from neighbouring properties. And I think whilst the planning department have worked really hard to bring this to us, some leeway has to be given to the neighbours on the impact of this sawmill in the zone where it is. So as it stands now, there's 13 public holidays in the year directly affected in the South Burnett. So we get to enjoy 13 public holidays here, and I think that's a small price to pay for the neighbours to be able to have some peace and quiet and to be able to enjoy their lifestyle on their block of land. So that is the reason why I have asked for that to be taken out of the decision notice.
Thank you, Councillor Little. Councillor Height.
Whilst I agree with Councillor Little, I would actually go further, because I'm very supportive of small business, but they can chainsaw between Monday to Friday currently, 6 o'clock till 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. I think Saturday should be taken out. I think as a concession to the neighbours, if you've got family coming round Saturday lunchtime, do you want a whole lot of chainsawing up until 6 o'clock on a Saturday? So personally, I'm not in favour of the whole change. I think it should be Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock till 6 p.m. is fine. I agree that public holidays should be out, but I think Saturdays should be out. I do think that people are entitled to a day off on Saturday, and they should be able to enjoy the quiet countryside where this is. And they've got deliveries and removals all weekend, but I think there shouldn't be chainsawing on Saturdays. So I've got an amendment to the amendment of the amendment.
So, thank you,
how do you
Councillor
reckon
Height. Is that CEO Michael seek your advice?
So the rest of the conditions stand as they were. This is the only change to the amended negotiation. So this is the bit that we're discussing. So Councillor Height, so it's really not an amendment, it's a negotiated decision, so it's come back for council, it has to get council approval. Otherwise, if it's not accepted today, the original decision notice stands, that's correct?
If it's not approved today, the original decision notice will stand depending on what we approve here today. Whatever we approve today will form part of the decision notice, whether it's amended, refused, or approved.
So the decision from December is in place. This is a negotiated decision from the applicant. So once this one goes through, then any submitters will have their appeal right, period. So okay, so this is what if Councillor Height, if you are making a formal amendment to that as well?
Well, I think I'm just going to vote against it, because if I vote against it, the original conditions stand, which is Monday to Friday. So I think Monday to Friday is fair enough. I don't think they should be doing heavy machinery in a rural area on a Saturday, and I agree, not on public holidays. So I'm just going to vote against it, so I don't need an amendment.
That's fine, thank you.
Height.
So you're a speaker against, Mayor, so you've got
Speaker
for and
against. So Councillor Potter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I think that I can go with Councillor Little's amendment. Just curious to know, though, I've only got 12 public holidays listed. You mentioned 13. So that's my only issue. That's my only question on that one. But I think with regards to the noise and things like that, this is in a farming community, so which means any time of the day or night you'll have people that are harvesting, that are people planting. So you've got tractors and you've got the noise of tractors and vehicles all around anyway because of the area you're in. So, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be voting for this, and I don't have an issue with Councillor Little's amendment.
Thank you. Councillor Little, did you want to clarify the number of public holidays?
Yeah, so I just Googled Queensland Public Holidays 2025, and there's definitely 13 on the list.
Ooh, well, then we actually probably need to state whether they're Queensland public holidays or national public holidays. I'm sorry, but national public holidays are 12, Queensland public holidays are obviously 13, and then you've got your local public holidays, which are the shows. So we've probably got to distinguish between that, because just to say public holidays is quite a wide berth then.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillor Little, perhaps we could just put, are they Queensland public holidays? Is that what you're talking about?
Queensland public holidays, yes.
Yeah, so if we just add Queensland public holidays, is the seconder happy with the addition of the Queensland public holidays, just to add the Queensland?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Thank you.
But I also wanted to add something else to that, perhaps.
Councillor
I believe
Dineen?
on the Sundays, they're allowed maintenance works only. I know from having small businesses and farms that perhaps they could be allowed to do maintenance work on the public holidays. Because, if something breaks down, you want it ready for Monday to start back at work, and if you're going to do it yourself, you'll do it on a Sunday.
So I'll seek CEO Mark's clarification on this.
Mayor, it's a question. So it's a question of the mover, I'm sorry to say, but, well, not sorry to say, but yeah.
But, okay, so,
yeah.
so I guess if the mover would agree to that, then the secondary, that would be just a straightforward change.
So they do have the Sundays for maintenance work.
Yeah, they do.
And and I haven't moved that the Saturdays be changed at all, so they have that opportunity as well to do that. So my thing is just the Queensland public holidays.
Thanks, councillor Little, valid point.
Councillor Erkins.
Yep, being somebody who has been a business owner, a small business owner, I know that my business would definitely not have survived had I not worked public holidays and every other time I had to do it. So, you know, I'm concerned that we're putting constraints on a small business. I'm sure where they could take a public holiday off and spend some time with their family, I'm sure they would probably like to do it as well. But when we said about maintenance work, and sure, they can do maintenance work on Sunday, but if something breaks down on a Friday and Monday's a public holiday, or the whole weekend is a public holiday, I just think we're putting a lot of constraints on someone who is, as I said, a small business. Times are tough. Small businesses are folding everywhere. And, you know, I just don't know why we would cut their hours down when they are trying to make a living.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Councillor Height.
Yeah, just in my response to Councillor Erkins, I'm totally supportive of small businesses, but I'm also considerate of the neighbours. And this isn't a quiet thing. This is very loud. This is heavy industrial in an agricultural area. And I don't think it's fair to the neighbours that they're working on a Saturday and public holidays.
Just in response to Councillor Height, I live in town and I know sometimes the noise that comes from people on the edge of town in rural areas, roosters crowing, cars being separated. You know, it's not a rural area. I know a lot of people might think a rural area is a nice, quiet rural area, but rural areas do have a lot of industry going on. I mean, they are small business as well. I'm sure if we went to those rural neighbours and said to them, hey, it's no work now on a Sunday, you know, no branding, no this, no that, on a Sunday or on a public holiday, you know, that's when a lot of those people, because a lot of them also have other part-time jobs where they are working to support their businesses. So as I said, I mean, you can't tell, you know, this one they can't work on a public holiday, but let the guy next door do his whatever he's doing on a Sunday that's noisy.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Just a point of clarification on what Councillor Height said before. So if this is voted, like just say, for example, this is voted down, then it goes back to the original conditions that you have put forward, which would be the original ones without the amended public holidays. It would just be all of the ones that were listed. Because I think, Councillor Height, you were believing that it would go back to it before they did the negotiated decision. But this negotiated decision would actually stand. Is that correct?
Whatever your decision today here is a decision on the negotiated decision. So whatever you resolve, whether it's approved, refused or amended, will form part of the decision notice.
That's correct. So if we vote Councillor Little's up or down, that if we vote it down, it goes back to the original your recommendation, which was your points that you put in as the negotiated decision. So that's all of those original ones, which included the Sundays, the Saturday trading, all of that. Is that correct?
Madam Mayor, through you councillors, if you don't support the amendment, I take it procedurally, then you would be voting on what was the original
I'll let
Can I-
CEO
I'll
Mark clarify that, because I
David.
think,
So
yes.
for the answer, so the negotiated decision notice is what's being discussed today. So if it was not supported, council has by resolution passed the original decision in December. That would stand, correct?
So then
It's not a trick question. If where council's passed one, this is a negotiated. So if we don't agree with the negotiated points, the original decision would be what would stand from December.
So then there's no changes to the times. It's back to where it was. Okay, so that's where we can
If you
run into.
refuse the
Yeah.
amendment, yeah, correct.
So Councillor Little's now amended the negotiated decision notice. So depending on whether council votes that up or down, if the first resolution, the only option would be, without muddying the water, is if the change to the resolution as moved by Councillor Little was voted down and a councillor wished to move the original recommendation, that would be then could be debated as well. But
Okay,
yeah.
that's that. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that, because I heard what Councillor Height said, and so she is correct. It would go back to the original before we allowed the weekend trading. Okay, so everyone clear on that? Deputy Mayor?
Sorry. So if we vote this down, we then have to vote on another motion, or it just goes back?
you don't have to, but if you vote this down, the December resolution that doesn't have any of the bolded changes that are there in the strike through would take precedence. So it is the decision that has been made.
Yep.
So council would not be accepting the negotiated decision notice. It would refer back to the original decision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is everyone clear? So just
Sorry.
Deputy Mayor.
So was the decision then, we were allowing them Saturday and public holidays 7 till 12. So now the amended motion is we are taking out public holidays.
That's right. So then we would have, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and Sundays, maintenance, okay. So basically the only thing we're voting on is whether the Sunday 7 till 12.
No, and Saturday, public holiday afternoons.
So we're voting on all of the changes that were recommended by the officers, except we're changing it for public holidays
And Saturday?
excluded.
And Saturday?
And afternoons, it was up till 7 to 12, which I'm fine with, but it's Saturday afternoons. And public holiday afternoons, it was before.
So okay, so for me, I'm going to vote against the amendment because I agree with what Deputy Mayor Jane has said. I think that sometimes when public holidays, you actually, in a small business, you bring your family home and you actually want to do a fair bit of stuff on your business on those public holidays. So I just, sorry, I can't support you, Councillor Little. Councillor Sander. Just have to put your microphone on.
Yeah, I'm just walking in, made up.
Oh, you're coming into the chamber. Okay. Well, we'll just wait for you if you wanted to put your case forward.
Yeah.
So, just so the people online know, Councillor Sander has come from a function in Mergen and Anzac Day meeting, so he's been online, but now he's coming into the chamber, which is good, and he should be here in a minute, and we just wanted to give him an opportunity to put his views forward on this important matter.
Mr. CEO could maybe tell us some dad jokes.
So, Councillor Sander, did you want to put your point of view across?
Even as a small business owner myself, I believe, and thinking of the impact on the neighbours, I would like the 12 o'clock cut off on the Saturday.
So that was the original recommendation, but Councillor Little has moved an amendment to add public holidays, so no work on public holidays.
Yeah, I sort of, yeah, it's 13 days a year, but even as a small business owner, you take that opportunity to, you can plan what you're going to do with your shutdowns and stuff. So I probably wouldn't support that.
Okay, so now we have Councillor Little's right of reply if there's no more speakers for or against. Councillor Little.
Yeah, so I don't quite understand what Councillor Sanders is saying. You know, you can use a public holiday to pre-plan work coming ahead. It doesn't make a noise. It's all about the noise and giving these people an opportunity, their neighbours and the surrounding properties, a chance to have no sawmills going, a bit of relief from the operations of the sawmill for 13 days a year. So, you know, the rest of the time, they're 6 till 6, 12-hour days, Monday to Saturday. Sunday they've got to, in the new amendment, have maintenance works. And for 13 days a year, they can sit in an office and pre-plan the rest of their work. They don't need to be out on the property creating more noise on what should be a day for families. That's all. I'm not against small business at all. If we didn't have small businesses, our communities would be all the worse off for it. But, you know, sometimes we can also have a bit of time off. And 13 days a year, I don't think is too much to ask.
Thank you, Councillor Little. So we're ready to vote. So we've got the amended motion. So that's the council approved the negotiated decision request with the as amended, and the hours of operation for the high impact industry are to be strictly in accordance with the following: Monday to Saturday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Chainsaw operations must not occur before 7 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Monday to Saturdays. Deliveries and removals by heavy vehicles are limited between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday to Saturdays. And public holidays, no operations on Queensland public holidays, and Sundays maintenance work only. So we've got that motion has been moved and seconded. So I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? And all those against? So that was just all those in favour was Councillor Little and Councillor Potter, and all those against is Councillor Sander, myself, Councillor Deneen, Councillor Erkins and Councillor Height. Okay, so I'd like to move that So I'm going to move that we go back to the original officer's recommendation. The council approved the negotiated decision request to... Sorry, we're just waiting for that to be put up on screen. Yes, I'd like to move the original motion. So the original motion is that council approve the negotiated decision request to amend condition MCU 17 amended hours of operation for material change of use for high impact industry, sawmill, and environmentally relevant activity ERA 47B, timber milling, wood chipping, more than 10,000 tonne but not more than 20,000 tonne in a year on land at 157 Benin Road, Gudja, Lot 4 and RP 807137, subject to the following conditions. And those hours are Monday to Saturday 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Chainsaw operations must not occur before 7 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. Deliveries and removals by heavy vehicles are limited between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. Public holidays 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. No chainsaws before 7 a.m. and Sundays maintenance work only as required. So they were the changes. So I think it's been discussed fairly robustly, so I'm happy to just put that to the chamber. And so any other speakers? No one wants to. Councillor.
I'd just like to point out, I know we voted against the public holidays and we're only saying 13 days, but they're also not working on Sundays, which are 52 Sundays. You can check to see how many Sundays there are in a year. But, if you'd added that, that 52 days taken out is enough, so I'm more than happy to support the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Any further discussion? Are we ready to vote? So the hours of operation for the high impact industry are to be strictly in accordance with the following: Monday to Saturday 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Chainsaw operations must not occur before 7 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Monday to Saturdays. Deliveries and removals by heavy vehicles are limited between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. Public holidays 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. No chainsaws before 7 a.m. and Sundays maintenance work only as required. Councillor Hyde, did you have a question?
I thought we just defeated that motion.
No, you
That was the
defeated the
amendment.
one that Councillor Little moved, which was different
Oh,
to
I
this
see.
one. The strike through is so your Friday is from the original decision in December. So this is the negotiated decision
Right.
notice that the applicants have asked for. So the applicants have asked for that,
Right,
I
so we
think.
defeated Councillor Little's. Now we're looking at the amendment.
Yeah, their negotiated notice. So, and if this one is passed, it's passed as is. If it's, again, we go back to that same space.
original.
Yeah, we go back to the December resolution.
Sure. Thank you.
Councillor Hyde, are you happy?
Sorry.
Are you ready to vote? Is everyone ready to vote? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Potter, Councillor Sander, myself, and Deputy Mayor Jane, and Councillor Deneen. All those against? That's Councillor Hyde and Councillor Little. So the motion has been carried. So that completes that particular item. Now we're moving on to the next item, which is item 5.2 on page 71, development permit for material change of use for undefined use battery energy storage system, BESS at 1196 Ellesmere Road, Alice Creek, and described as Lot 6 on FY 691, applicant Excelio C/WSP Australia. And that's on page 71. So we need to move that item be lifted from the table, that the report development permit for material change of use for undefined use battery energy storage system, BESS at 1196 Ellesmere Road, Alice Creek, be lifted off the table. Someone to move that, Councillor Potter, second by Councillor Hyde. Put it to the vote. All those in favour, against, carried. And so now the motion is as follows: that Council approve the development permit for material change of use for an undefined use battery energy storage system at 1196 Ellesmere Road, Alice Creek, and described as Lot 6 on FY 691, subject to the following conditions, including the engagement of an arborist to ensure the appropriate vegetation on the boundary periphery of the block is chosen to reduce fire impacts and maximum noise reduction and enhance visual amenity. So, would someone like to move that?
So, Mayor, we lifted it from the table. It was moved by Councillor Okins and Councillor
Oh,
Potter
sorry, yes.
at the last ordinary meeting. So this one is a fixed point in time. So it's where the debate stopped at that. Now, there was some consideration of a couple of different points and an amendment, I understand. And it's whether you start debate for and against now at this point, or then those
Or
other...
if someone has an amendment.
Yep.
Councillor Potter?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do have an amendment to the motion. It has been sent out to everyone. With the amended conditions proposed would be Gen 1 is that the approved development must maintain generally in accordance with the approved plans and documents, except where amended by the conditions of this permit. So we've got it was mainly the detailed landscaping plan to be prepared by a suitable qualified landscaper / architect to be submitted to council prior to any works on site, and that the landscaping plan must indicate the following: with the landscaping design that demonstrates the following: a minimum 5 metre wide landscaping strip along the northeastern extent of the development footprint, comprising of low threat vegetation, as well as the 5 metre fire break on either side, as well as landscape strip. So I might just skip that. So that was the landscaping side of things that I wanted changing. And then it was the ENG2, which was the on-site firefighting of water supply purposes, which they have said will be accessible. They will be the right ones, and they will be accessible for firefighting. And also the water was the sediment, the underground water issue that I had, because I wanted to make sure that the underground water system was going to be safe and that they were going to monitor that water system. Now, there was a fourth one. Were we amending? I think I had another amendment to add into that one that was missed out. Was that it? With regards to the transport, was the transport one was fine? Okay. I'd like to move that amended motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Potter, seconded by Councillor Little. Speakers, Councillor Height.
Yes,
sorry, Councillor. Just for process. So, councillors, we will just work on the amended, same as the other one, given the length of the document, rather than trying to copy everything, and we'll just keep the amended clauses up, and then we'll fold them into the full negotiated decision notice. Otherwise, you're going to have pages and pages of conditions that aren't being discussed.
Thank you, CEO Mark. Councillor Height.
So this is discussed at length. At the last council meeting, we did discuss it. If you're not going to vote for something, you have to have genuine planning reasons, and we weren't able to have any genuine planning reasons. But what we did want to do was try and make sure it was safe for that area, and also the visual amenity. Now, I was out at that area a few days ago and drove around, and there's a huge number of power lines, and there's already the transmission site, and then there's another battery which has been approved. So the main thing I wanted with this is to secure the water in case there's a fire, and also the fire break. So at the last council meeting, we discussed at length fire break, but then we wanted fire breaks, but then we wanted a vegetation strip, but also the fire break. We actually laid it on the table till lunchtime, and the planners, worked on it a little bit more, and then we still couldn't quite get our heads around was this exactly what we want, to reduce the visual amenity but not add to any fire risk, and also ensure there's water. So we laid it on the table today, and the guys have come back with what I think is very reasonable. I think it's a 5 metre fire break and then a 5 metre buffer. So it will blend in with, because it is a rural area. And of course, once it's there, it's not high impact. It's basically a stack of containers, which we might not like the look of, but unless we've got good planning reasons, the state government want renewables, and we will lose in any planning court and then cost ratepayers if we don't support this. So I'm really happy with the amendment, and thank you to Councillor Potter and the planning staff who sort of have worked on that, and I think this is a good compromise. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Height. Councillor Erkins.
Thank you. Just taking note of something that Councillor Height said about what we want, and I think we're all in agreement that, you know, nobody really wants to see that there. However, we are, as Councillor Height pointed out, not in a position to refuse it if they've met all the conditions that are put in. So I know aesthetically there was a lot of talk here about how good it looked, and as again Councillor Height has said, the area out there, there are power lines going everywhere. You know, it is a fact that they're coming in. I come back to, if we refuse it, how much is it going to cost our ratepayers? We know in difficult times we argue here in council about the smallest amount of money and whether we can afford to back a peanut or whether we can't afford to back a peanut. So, you know, I don't really feel we're in a position to say, no, we don't approve it without sound planning rules. Thank you, Councillor Height. Without that. And as I said, I know that, you know, there are members in here who are very unhappy with it, but for us to put our ratepayers at added expense, I just don't feel that that's a responsible act of councillors to do. It complies with regulations, and we really are. We've put in as much conditions as we can, and I know that we are working. I know that Mayor Cathy has been down and is working on ways that we can put more conditions on, or be able to either refuse or accept these Councillor Height, renewable energies. You let me down there. Yeah, to accept these. And I know some people, you know, are totally against it, but, you know, some of our ratepayers are definitely for renewables, and we have to keep that in mind. But we also have to keep in mind that we cannot be wasting ratepayers' money by just going against something that to stand on principle.
So thank you, Councillor Deputy Mayor Erkins. So I am going to stand on principle because I have been fighting for the right to have these in the, like we don't choose where they go. We have a carefully put together South Bennett Regional Council plan, and nowhere in that plan does it say anything about we wanted heavy, what I regard as heavy industrial out in the middle of agricultural land. So I have to stand on my principles because I have voted against every single one of these because, and the planning grounds is that it's not in our planning scheme, and we don't want them in our planning. We want the chance to have them in our planning scheme where we want them and not where they just choose to be. And they're just going to be a landscape of where, like the one outside Kingaroy, we voted as a council totally against it, and I don't regret that. It did cost the ratepayers some money, but at least we stood up for what we believed in. And if we just keep saying, oh, that's okay, it's okay to have, you know, this and it's going to cost the ratepayer. But when do we say, no, that's not good enough for our region? We don't want to be covered in them where we don't want them. We want the right to have a say. And so I'm voting against it on my principles because I actually went down, we as a council, we supported a moratorium. And we had to take that word out because some of them were too far advanced, but we got a lot of traction with that. And now with our stand, we've actually now got it so that they've actually included at least the wind farms in so that they're impact accessible, and at least the people who are adjoining will at least get a chance to know. So on principle, I have to vote against this. Thank you. Councillor Deneen.
Thank you, Mayor. This is such a big issue, and I'm on record many times as saying I do not agree with the way renewables have been rolled out in this area or many other areas. They impact the wildlife, they impact the neighbours, they impact the streams, the sand, everything. They impact really badly, and I am absolutely against it. But I believe in this instance we would be in a really difficult position to vote against this because we don't have sound planning reasons. The batteries are put in a place that is close to the transmission station where the power lines are. They're not going to go anywhere else. They're going to go where they can access power and it can be shipped out of here. I could talk about this for a very long time because I do not agree with what has happened and what is happening, although I know that we need to change in the future and we need to look at where we're heading and how much power we're using. I believe in this instance that we can't vote against it, although I do commend you, Kathy, for your stand and for fighting against the state and federal government for where they sit with this. And I believe that you are making change with that, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Deneen. Councillor Hyde.
I just wanted to ask a question. With the solar farm, which I know is not popular, it's because all of the Macaulay Drive people obviously are looking at it. I don't think it was a good place. It was voted against. It went to the planning court. How much did it cost our council to defend that? Do you have a figure, please?
Oh, I don't have an accurate figure, councillor,
Roughly.
but it would be improper to say a figure, and it's not correct, given it was a legal proceeding. The issue with and that one was a test case at the time. Council had what we believed were grounds is that it was a disruption to prime agricultural land. The court in the Morani-Mackay decision and then ours, the planning court has now, and I'm paraphrasing this and so the planners can just cringe, but this is in Mark speak, is basically saying that these things and we don't have to agree with it, but the court is basically ruling that these don't fragment agricultural land because they're a temporary use, and in 30 years' time the land can revert to its agricultural use, or you can have a mixed use with it. Again, not saying I agree with it, but that was a Mark version of a very long decision.
Thank you. I just want to let the gallery know that in a formal council meeting you actually can't address the council chambers. I know that yeah. Yeah. So, sorry, Bill. You just can't address the gallery. That's just the procedure. So I've just been told by CEO Mark just to let you know that the reason why I haven't been able to ask you to speak is that for that very reason. Councillor Little.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say, or start off by saying that I am not anti-renewable. So I do believe that renewables are needed in the mix of our power situation in the whole of the country. What I am against, though, is these companies coming in and just buying our prime land and putting them wherever they want willy-nilly. So I firmly believe it needs to be a little bit more regulated in that way, and definitely impact accessible. And so on that note, it does make it really hard for me because I know that it's in my division where this is going, and there are so many people who are dead set against it. But I don't want to also see the council wasting money fighting something that we're going to lose at a state government level. And our money, things are so tight at the moment that our money is better spent on things that actually benefit our communities. I do just have one question though to the planning team, if you don't mind, to do with the water testing. I see that in the amendment it says that reports detailing the results of any water testing, including any necessary mitigation measures must be submitted to council upon completion of the report and is required by the condition. I'm just wondering, the neighbouring farmers, are they going to be able to have access to that information as well when those reports come in, so that they know that we are enforcing the condition, number one, and number two, that everything is okay with the groundwater?
Look, that will be coming into council, but any requests from third parties, i.e. residents in that area, would really have to come under freedom of information. We wouldn't openly normally release that sort of information.
Thank you, Manager Simon. Councillor Little, are you happy with that response?
Well, I can't say that I'm really happy with it, so hence the purpose of the question. So is there no way that we could add that as part of the condition, that that information is shared to the surrounding farms?
I think CEO Mark would like to address that.
we would have to. It's just, and I'm going off the top of my head too with these, but you have the privacy principles, and it is third-party information. Authorised agencies, Queensland Health would be able to access, and if there was issues. I'm not sure about the publication, but as a general rule of thumb, the information belongs to the entity, and if there was even a request for information, there would need to be a third-party request back to the entity to release the information. If there was, as I said, a request from the only exception from someone duly authorised under the law, aka Queensland Health, they would be able to access it. But yeah, we can give you a better answer, but I don't think you'd be able to change this planning condition well, I don't believe anyway that we'd be able to change the planning condition in respects to the change to the privacy of information.
Okay, not happy, but I have to accept that.
Thank you, Councillor Little. Any further discussion, questions? Is everyone ready to vote? Councillor Potter, you have the right to reply.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Look, I just want to say that, I mean, we've had these discussions. We understand that these are coming in. None of us really want them, but I think these things are now being literally forced upon us. And with the solar farm, we all said no, but it came anyway. Planning Court, a lot of money. And also the fact that this is really good A-grade. This is peanut land. This is amazing land that they're building this on. So I want this as, you know, as I'm against this as much as anyone else. But because we know it's going to happen, the best I can do is make sure that these conditions are lived up to with regards to the landscaping, the fire break, and the amenity issue on at least the four sides of it, and also, you know, with the fire breaks and the vegetation buffers. At least we can make sure that the water is going to be tested, and at least we can make sure that the roads are sorted, and at least we can make sure that the water on site is useful for firefighting purposes. These are all things that are important to the community, and the properties around them have to live by them, especially the firefighting one. They have to have the right connections for the rural fire service. So to me, any other entity that goes into this area should live up to those same standards that is expected of every other property around them. So, but as I said, you know, we don't want this, but if we vote against this, this will cost us a lot of money in planning court. So therefore, this is the best I can do for the community, is bringing these conditions forward, so at least we've got something to work with. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Are we ready to vote? I'll put it to the vote. So it's been moved by Councillor Potter, seconded by Councillor Little, as the amendment. Do I need to read that out, do you think, CEO Mark? So I think everyone's across it. Unless anyone wants me to read it out, everyone happy to vote? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? So those in favour were Councillor Dineen, Deputy Mayor Jane, Councillor Height, Councillor Potter and Councillor Little, and those against Councillor Sander and Mayor Duff. Thank you. So that, the amendment becomes a resolution. So now we're voting on the original resolution as amended. So is that already been moved and seconded?
It reverts back to the Councillor Oakins and Councillor Potter.
Councillor Potter.
Because they were the original movers. And again, for sake of killing a forest, we'll fix it, but this bit only shows the amended from the original recommendation.
So is everyone clear on that? So we're ready to vote? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? The same are in favour. So that's Councillor Deneen, Deputy Mayor Jane, Councillor Height, Councillor Potter and Councillor Little, and all those against, Councillor Sander and Mayor Duff. So thank you, and that concludes the special meeting. Thank you to the councillors and the staff who attended and those in the gallery. Thank you.